The House of Kuru, Part 2, Chapter 14, The Tournament of Arms. The event was organized by the minister of the kingdom Vidura himself. He took meticulous care to ensure that the best location, one where there was ample space, was selected, and the most auspicious day was chosen by some of the wisest astrologers in the land. The chief minister had town criers and heralders shout out the date and time of the event all over the kingdom of Hastinapura. Even kings from a nearby allied kingdom such as Madra, Vidarbha, and of course the newly acquired Panchala kingdoms had diplomats, and sometimes even kings were attending this event. Expert artisans and carpenters were hired to build the most exquisite stadium, and the treasure chests and coffers of Hastinapura were opened by the chief minister Vidura to spare no expense on the building of a massive stadium. Finally, the big day dawned on the house of Kuru. The first person to enter the stadium was the Emperor Dhritarashtra along with his queen Gandhari. They were drawn on a 4-horse golden chariot decked with the best of jewels and gold all over their bodies, to the screaming of crowds and spectators. Guru Drona was the host of the event, and he introduced Dhritarashtra, the emperor of all the lands and vassal states of the mighty empire of Hastinapura, the king possessing the strength of 1,000 elephants. The mighty King Dhritarashtra and his queen Gandhari, said the weapons master, as he approached the chariot and opened the gate to allow the king of the realm to descend from the chariot. As soon as he descended, the entire crowd applauded when the king raised his palm to silence the crowd and said, "I truly envy all of you, for you are gifted with sight. Neither I nor my wife will be able to see the proceedings, but I will be informed of each and every move by my aide and chief minister Vidura." And the crowd once more cheered as Ashwathama, the son of Guru Drona, led the king and queen to their respective seats on the stadium. The next chariot was Kunti. Kunti was seated in a 2-horse chariot pulled by pearl-white mares and a short charioteer. Kunti was draped in white and was sporting a wide smile on the achievement of her children. "The mother of the Pandavas, the lineage of the Pandu king," exclaimed Guru Drona, much to the roars and celebrations of the audience as Ashwathama approached the chariot door and opened it for Kunti to dismount. Then came the king's guard, the legendary Bhishma, on a 2-horse chariot pulled by white stallions sporting a look of sheer masculine strength as Guru Drona introduced him. "Ladies and gentlemen, the son of the goddess Ganga, the vanquisher of sage Parashurama, the mighty Maharatha, the one-man army, the great grandsire Bhishma," roared Guru Drona, and once more the crowd went wild with cheers as Ashwathama approached the grandsire and opened the gates to the chariot. Then came the sons of Pandu, led by Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira arrived in a single-horse chariot yoked with golden reins and decked in the finest jewels and garlanded with a thick bouquet of flowers. "Ladies and gentlemen, children, the firstborn son of Pandu, Yudhishthira," said Guru Drona, as Yudhishthira prostrated before the crowd, being the first and only member of the royalty to do so, as Ashwathama opened the gates to his chariot and led him to his seat. Bhima was carried by a 2-horse chariot, as a single-horse chariot could not pull the heavy son of the wind god Vayu. Guru Drona even considered placing Bhima on an elephant, but later decided on a 2-horse chariot instead. Bhima looked spectacular with a massive upper body and deltoids which were larger than boulders and a chest the size of an eagle's wingspan. Ashwathama opened Bhima's chariot. door after Guru Drona introduced him. Then there was a loud bang. Arjuna, seated on a thin-wheeled single-horse chariot, roared into the center of the stage. The bang was created by the pull of the bowstring, and it centered the attention on the son of Indra as Guru Drona introduced him. Then the twins were each on separate one-horse chariots, and as always, Guru Drona introduced them, and Ashwatthama led them to their seats. Then came the first son of Dhritarashtra, Suyodhana, decked with jewels and a golden breastplate. Holding onto a large mace, he was truly a wondrous sight to see. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the firstborn son of Dhritarashtra, the lion incarnate, the very Suyodhana himself, bellowed Guru Drona as the crowd went wild and Suyodhana's face sparkled with pride, and Ashwatthama led him to his seat. One by one, each member of the children of Dhritarashtra were brought on one-horse chariots and introduced by Guru Drona as Ashwatthama opened the gates to the chariot for each of the sons. Ladies and gentlemen, today the scions of Hastinapura, the royalties of the throne, are, for your pleasure, going to exhibit their prowess, either on the bow or javelin or mace, bellowed Guru Drona, and everyone clapped as hard as they could, as did Bhishma and Vidura. I call upon the firstborn son of Pandu, Yudhishthira, to approach the stage and exhibit his talent with the javelin, roared Guru Drona. To the yells and cheers of the crowd, Yudhishthira stood up and approached the host of the show with his palms touching each other. Prostrating before his guru and weapons master, he lifted the first javelin on the display chest. It was huge, and the audience awed in amazement. The firstborn son of Pandu hurled the javelin with all his might, and the large spear flew from one end of the stadium all the way to the other end, and the crowd hollered in praise. Distance is one test, but for the next test, how about distance and accuracy? Asked the weapons master, as the humble son of Pandu prostrated before both the guru and the audience and once more approached the weapons cabinet and lifted yet another large and heavy javelin, and this time aimed for a mounted flag on the post on the side of the stadium. He took his aim using his left hand and pulled the javelin back with all his might using his right hand. A terrific hush fell across the crowds, and a small smirk appeared on the face of the son of Pandu as he once more hurled the mighty spear across the stadium. And to everyone's awe and amazement, the javelin pierced through the flag and tore it in half as the spear landed on the ground, and everyone roared in applause. The firstborn son of Pandu bowed to his guru once more and then to the audience as Ashwatthama approached him and requested him to take his seat once more. Gentlemen, ladies, you have seen the might of the firstborn son of Pandu. Now I call upon the firstborn son of Dhritarashtra and the secondborn son of Pandu, Bhima, exclaimed Guru Drona, and the audience all applauded in joy as the two titans approached the stadiums. Ladies, gentlemen, kings, royal members of the audience, today, for your pleasure, the two sons of the lion throne are going to have a mace combat. They will spar with each other just for your amusement, roared the weapons master, and once more the audience roared with joy. Bhima approached the stadium, mace in hand, and so did Suyodhana, also wielding a large mace. Both titans stretched their bodies and warmed up. Bhima blew his conch, and Suyodhana reciprocated, as was the expected custom. This was done to ensure that both parties were ready for battle, and no one received an unexpected blow. Then they were off. Bhima and Suyodhana commenced what could only be viewed as a spectacle. It looked like the two lions were sparring with each other, swinging massively heavy maces and roaring loudly. At times, it looked as though Suyodhana had the upper hand, and at other times, it looked like Bhima was a clear victor. Dhritarashtra leaned towards Vidura as Vidura gave a second-by-second update to both Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. The battle's intensity escalated rapidly, and it soon became obvious that the two were not sparring for the audience but to prove superiority. Bhima fought like a madman, while Suyodhana gave it everything he had, and the audience were picking sides. Some screamed the name of Bhima, while others yelled Suyodhana at the top of their lungs. Things were getting rough for both the warriors as Bhima slammed the mace into Suyodhana's cheekbone, and Suyodhana reciprocated it by smashing his mace onto Bhima's left shoulder. Noticing that the situation was rapidly getting out of hand, Guru Drona instructed Ashwatthama to bring an end to the mace battle, and Ashwatthama had to nearly risk his life to bring the two lions of the Kuru house to a standstill. Both Bhima and Suyodhana were sporting large bruises on their shoulders, eyes, jaws, and abdomens. The moment the two were pulled apart, the audience began to boo, and the two lions of the Kuru house were looking at each other with daggers in their eyes. And only a small spark was needed before the two would pounce on each other. Sensing that the situation could get completely out of hand, Guru Drona called his son Ashwatthama and instructed him to send the two mace warriors and bring Arjuna. Ladies and gentlemen, now that the two lions of the Kuru house have shown their potency on the mace, I have saved the best for the last. The victor of Panchala, the one I call Vibhatsu, the spectacular Arjuna, who, as dear to me as my own son, blessed with a portion of Indra himself, the third son of Pandu, will delight you with his might and prowess over the bow, roared the weapons master, and the attention instantly changed from booing from the audience to a large applause from the audience. Arjuna approached Guru Drona and bowed before him, and then took a large bow from the cabinet. A sculpture of a vulture was present on the other end of the arena, and within a moment, the mighty son of Pandu shot an arrow which pierced the eyeball of the vulture. He then proceeded to amaze the audience with his spectacular knowledge of the bow. Arjuna first began exhibiting the slightness of his hand as he launched hundreds of arrows within seconds, and each arrow fell majestically at the feet of various important members of the audience, including Bhishma, Vidura, Gandhari, his mother, and some royals present in the stage. After a few spectacular shots of his arrows, he began using the celestial weapons. He first invoked the Agneya Astra using his arrow and created a large ring of fire around the stadium. And the rings of fire began twirling across the audience as the audience sat speechless. Then the mighty bowman used the Varunastra, and large volumes of water put out the rings of fire. He then used the Vayavastra and conjured a large hurricane. Large gusts of wind enveloped the arena as hundreds of people were blown by the mighty Astra. He then concocted the Parjanya Astra, and large clouds appeared and bolts of lightning and thunder shook the stadium as the audience sat and watched in utter amazement, and Guru Drona shed a tear. Then Arjuna invoked the Bhaumya Astra and created land in the middle of the sky. Then the Parvatastra and created mountains in the middle of the sky. And finally, he launched the Antardhana Astra, which created a large black void. The void swallowed all the mountains, the land, the water, the clouds in one swift action. Even the audience had all their water sucked out of them, and they were left completely dry. Then the mighty son of Indra took a deep bow as the cacophony of cheers rang throughout the arena, and the weapons master embraced his protege. Guru Drona approached Arjuna. Vibhatsu is an Atirata, the one man who can fight 60,000 men single-handedly, and I declare him to be the best and most powerful warrior in all the lands of Bhar. Hold on, roared a loud voice, and all the heads in the arena turned towards the voice. To their surprise, it was a man wearing a crimson-red cape, looking as dazzling as the sun himself, with a beautiful golden armor and large droplet earrings dangling from each ear. He approached the stadium with a large assortment of arrows and a huge golden bow. He requested the permission of Guru Drona, and then he proceeded to perform every single feat completed by the conqueror of Panchala, Arjuna. First, he shot the arrow perfectly on the vulture's eye. Then he let loose over 100 arrows, none of which touched the royalties, but each landed majestically on relatively unknown peasants, and one even found its way to Suryodhana's feet. Then the mighty stranger began exhibiting his knowledge of the Astras. He launched the Agnyastra, then the Varunastra, followed by the Vayava, which was then consumed by the Parjanya, and the downpour of lightning and thunderbolts accompanied them, just like the son of Indra did. Then, just like Arjuna, he conjured the Bhaumyastra, which created land in the middle of the sky, and he grew mountains on top of them by the use of the Parvatastra, just like Vibhatsu did. And then he invoked the Antardhanastra, and it consumed everything. When he finished, the audience roared in euphoria. The stranger bowed and said, "I wish to duel the mighty Arjuna and prove my worth. O Arjuna, face me. I challenge you," he said. Kunti, having recognized the golden mail and the droplet earrings, knew the stranger was her very own son, but she didn't dare own up to him. What a dazzling sight it must have been! How I wish I saw that tournament, the mighty mace battles with Suryodhana and Bhimasena, the miracle of Arjuna and his celestial weapons, my great-grandfather, and of the heroic stranger. What happens to him? Dear Rajaguru, tell me, I wish to know, implored the king Janamejaya. All in good time, my king, all in good time. Listen patiently, insisted the Rajaguru Vaishampayana.